What's up? I just got done with cardio. I'm a bit wet. I'm wetted up. I got my taurine. I'm ready to discuss some topics. Now, I realized that recently I've really been harping on the zone 2 stuff. It's kind of my obsession right now because it has been yielding great results. Don't get me wrong. However, I realize there's only so much people want to hear about walking on a treadmill. I get that, okay? I love it, but probably not a very interesting topic. Let's talk about something that is interesting and that could help you with your muscle size and strength. That's what we're here for, right? Conceptualizing hypertrophy training is something that you might want to do, especially if you've got a lagging muscle group. What do I mean by this? I know it's in vogue right now to criticize the science-based guys. Everything has to be full range of motion. Everything has to be full stretch, loaded partials and things like that. It's been done to death. Everyone knows just because it's optimal according to a paper doesn't mean it's going to actually work out to be the best way for you to train. And that's one way to conceptualize training would be you're a science guy, you do these partial things, whatever. Here's a couple other ways that I've found conceptualizing hypertrophy training in the past has worked out well. Number one, this is probably for more of a powerlifting guy side of things. The muscular function approach, which is basically you should train every function of a muscle when you're picking hypertrophy movements for them or accessory movements. If we're talking about whatever. Okay. The foremost examples, we'll give a couple here, but number one that comes to mind is hamstrings. When you're picking hamstring movements, you are obviously going to pick something like an RDL or a stiff leg that's going to hit the hamstring in the lengthened position with the legs locked, and then you're just moving straight up and down. But you're also going to hit the other function of the hamstring, which is bringing your foot up, right? That's a one-to-one anatomical model of a hamstring. You can hit both functions. You can do RDLs and hamstring curls. That's a well-rounded approach. Same thing with calves. You do standing calf raises and seated calf raises. And I'm sure there's other things. Triceps. You hit both heads. I don't exactly remember how to hit both heads, but you hit both heads of tricep. The functional approach. Okay. Here's another approach that is similar but slightly different. And it is basically how John Meadows structured his programs a lot of times. And I don't know what to call it or exactly how to get at what I'm saying, but it's more of a sequencing thing. You pick movements so that the sequence of them makes sense. And I think Sam Sulek probably does this a lot because he has a weird approach to things, okay? What do I mean by this sequencing approach? Going back to hamstrings, John Meadows, if you're solely focused on hypertrophy, you would do hamstring curls first and get a big pump in your hamstrings Anybody that's done much hamstring training knows, this is my experience at least, it's much easier to get hamstring pump from curls than it is RDLs. You get a big hamstring pump on the curls, you follow it with RDLs, and you get a big stretch, and you stretch the muscle that's already pumped full of blood. There's some kind of, okay, I don't know what it is. It's like Eric Bugenhagen used to say, there's some sort of special hormones in milk, okay? There's some kind of special sauce in stretching a pumped muscle. And what John would also do a lot of times would do a pump movement, which is usually end range of motion focused, or a lot of times could be followed by a compound movement. So you're warmed up, your muscle's warm, you're not going to lose your pump, and then you stretch the muscle at the end. You can do this with lots of stuff. Think of your lats, you would start with a pull down, single arm pull down, something like that, then go to a chin up, and then go to a pull over movement, straight arm pull over. I do this in my training currently, do all my lat stuff, follow it at the end with straight arm pull downs. Chest, start with a dumbbell press, then a bench press, then a fly. So you pump the muscle and then you stretch it, right? Not only is it stretching the pumped muscle, but it's also, I think, safer because you won't be able to use as much weight. Your muscle is well warmed up. I think you're probably less likely to pop something doing that. I don't think I have too much more to say about that, but instead of just programming movements that you think are good, which is a fine way of doing things, you might at some points want to think about how you sequence them, or you definitely would want to think about the function that the movement is actually training in the muscle. Boys and girls, that's all I got for tonight. I think this one was actually a pretty decent video. I should really talk more about getting bulbous and less about getting marathon runner shape. But I did zone 2 tonight, 60 minutes to make up for my missed workout yesterday. That's it. See you later.